What's up guys, welcome to my 360 tutorial. If you're here, you're probably here to learn how to 360 and not to listen to crows, which is why I have the game muted for you right now. Thanks to my buddy Scruffy, we are in a normal game mode, but I do recommend if you don't have somebody willing to AFK for you for a few minutes or for an hour or so a day or however long you want to practice 360ing without throwing a whole fucking match in order to practice, yeah, I would recommend going in the tutorial mode, turning the sound down so you don't have to listen to the generator, and learning how to 360 for a bit. Before we get started, there's a lot of channels that I've seen that just say to do WASD and flick your screen. I'm not here to just tell you that. This is going to be a little more descriptive than I see other channels talking about. And the reason for that is because when I was trying to learn how to 360, I had to find people who already knew how to do it in order to speed up. There's just a lack of like specific detail on how to do things, and that's what I want to do in this video. First, we'll go over the controls. A 360 is the act of running in a circle, WASD, or the opposite direction, normal clockwise direction if you prefer, but I'm only going to teach you in the direction that is counterclockwise because that's what I'm best at. I can counterclockwise spin, but I never go for it unless I'm doing a chain of spins. Regardless of that, if you want to do regular clockwise, just flip everything that I say. At least directional wise. The up and down part that I'm going to get to doesn't have to be flipped, just the way that you spin will have to be flipped. And I'll explain probably when I talk about that. So the first thing you want to do is WASD. A moonwalk is a combination of WASD and rotating your mouse the opposite direction. For whatever reason, Dead by Daylight's controls get a little funky, and when you rotate your screen, it actually allows your character's model to spin faster. This is good for running around the killer when they're within close proximity and they're about to swing. All you have to do is run around the killer. Now, it's counterable. A 360 should always be a last resort because it's 100% counterable. There's lots of things you can do as a killer to prevent 360s, like just being patient and waiting to see what the survivor's going to do and then swinging when they start to get tired. Just not making a mistake in general, not being upset. You're focused. Usually if you're focused enough and you swing close enough to the survivor, a 360 won't matter, but there are some really good spinners out there who might give you a hard time regardless of how focused you are. Anyway, a 360 should almost always be counted as a last resort unless you're in like a kill your friends match or going against a really boosted killer that you just feel like throwing the whole game against, potentially. So, first thing you want to practice is WASDing in a way that lets your character slide but not cancel, like this is canceling it. You don't want to cancel it, you want to spin in a way that lets them slide. And you'll find that that's a max, that's as fast as you can do it without fucking up the animation. Unless you rotate your screen, you can actually do it faster because your character can turn their body faster, which lets you press WASD much faster without canceling the circular motion that you're making. Once you've learned to run in a circle and spin your screen, you'll notice my screen is actually up all the way at the top. If the area that you can move your mouse on is a sphere, which it technically is a sphere, because you can go close and far, like there's an equator here. If I'm on a sphere right now, I'm at the north. I'm as close as I can get to the North Pole right now, and I'm as close as I can get to the South Pole right here. You don't want to be spinning your mouse on the equator because if you know anything from your elementary geometry class, the circle here that I'm making across the equator and the circle that I make close to the North Pole have a distance that are much greater from each other, at least relatively speaking. So spinning the screen down here is going to take longer, at least relatively speaking, to the top circle here. And so, since you want every little bit of an edge you can get during a 360, by the way, that one was too fast. At least I'm pretty sure it was too fast. You're going to want to take the circle that is the shortest distance, since we all know since we're traveling at max speed during this 360 here. We want the shortest distance so that we can make full rotations in a shorter time. That was the most boring fucking sentence I probably ever constructed. Let's review quickly. Learn to WASD smoothly. Learn to spin the screen while looking at the ground. Tip: to look at the ground, at least for counterclockwise, if you always take your mouse wherever it is during a chase and just move it up to the top, up top left corner, when you're about to perform your 360, see I'm during chase, my mouse is all fucked up on the corner somewhere. I'm in the middle of chase. I just move my mouse over here. Now I'm ready to perform our 360 where I don't have to worry. I really fucked it up. I don't have to worry about looking at the ground because I'm just dragging my mouse from the top left to the lower right corner, which means no matter how focused I am, I'm always at the smallest circle possible at the top. Now you can do this on the bottom as well, and I dropped my armrest piece that I use. You can do this from bottom left to upper right, and again, if you go regular clockwise, you're gonna want to do top right to lower left, or if you don't mind using the south pole, you would want to go bottom right to upper left. But I spin counterclockwise, and I prefer the top down method, so here we are. You'll find that there's a maximum speed that you want to use, and as you develop your 360 capabilities further, you'll notice that adjusting your speed a little bit really fucks with the killer's head. And so that's where the idea of stringing 180s instead of a 360 together. So flicking for a 180 sometimes works better than 360. I know this video isn't the most interesting thing in the world, but it's a lot of information, honestly, and it's a lot of boring information. 360s are boring. Practicing 360s made me want to fucking smash my head off. Just as sort of a tip, these fire barrels that you'll find all over the map have a hitbox similar to the killer's. Now the killer's hitbox, I believe, is actually a little bit bigger than the barrel, but when they're swinging at you, their exact hitbox won't matter because their body's in motion. So you'll be running around a smaller object because as it approaches you, you're getting next to it, and it's passing you as you're going around it. That's probably didn't make any fucking sense unless you're incredibly good at visualizing sentences for some reason. But if their hitbox is a circle and it's moving towards you, and you're going around them as I don't know how centered this is. This is really great. As their hitbox circle comes towards you and you're spinning, you don't have to actually go out as far because they're moving and your two paths are intersecting. And since they're not a stationary object when you're 360ing, you don't actually have to go around their whole hitbox. You just have to go around where their hitbox is at that point in time. And since time is not standing still, and neither are you don't have to go around their entire hitbox. So these barrels are a good thing to practice on since they're a little bit smaller, and in reality the hitbox that you're running around is technically smaller since it's in motion. Something else to keep in mind is that 360s are successful mostly because for one, you're able to perform them, so you have some type of skill to the table, but also either A, the killer is super boosted, B, the killer made a stupid mistake because they're boosted, or C, relating to the mistake, they're upset, or you're pissing them off a little bit, or they're genuinely not having a good time in Dead by Daylight, which honestly aren't any of us. But things like teabagging, pointing at when you drop a pallet, vaulting a window, pointing, after successfully 360ing, unless they have saved the best for last, you can chain another 360 on by waiting in front of their line of sight. Literally, if this tree was them just standing right in front of them, and as soon as they're about to get their thing back, spin around them again. And during this moment, you can literally point and then spin again. And those things fucking drive me furious, and I know that I should be trying to relax. Something to keep in mind is the more irritated your killer is, the more likely they are to make mistakes, and vice versa. Honestly, if you wanna really get a good survivor fucking up, find a way to piss them off. The final thing I'll say is 360s took not as long as moonwalks for me. Moonwalks literally took me like a month straight of just practicing moonwalks, but the 360 is an incredibly hard thing to practice because if you're practicing in tutorial mode, there's obviously no killer to spin around. There's also no barrel. There is no barrel to spin around. If you're practicing in kill your friends with an AFK killer, you have to just use barrels. If you're practicing in kill your friends with your friend the killer, they're either gonna know that you're 360ing, which doesn't really help when you're practicing, or they're gonna be purposely trying to miss, which isn't gonna help if you're practicing. So, but you might want to try whatever you can do to get a boosted kill. But all you need to do is practice in tutorial mode, practice a few times on live servers, throw a couple of matches in 4-man Swifts. Please do not throw a match with randoms. Nobody wants that. You don't want that for your self-esteem while you're midway through practicing. And with that being said, I'm gonna quit nagging. Like if you liked, subscribe if you like me. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good night.